will be a payout in USDT. The reason why we're choosing USDT is so I can use the USDT hashtag and take advantage of the fact that it's trending right now and get more engagement. Because we would be doing it in BUSD if not USDT, so we might as well just USDT to take advantage of the news. And after this contest, we'll be having a contest that requires people buy a specified amount of AFP and AFD, and this way, any prize that's paid out will be essentially a percentage. So we'll be paying out the prize for the next contest in either AFP or AFD or a combination of the two. But the thing is, we're going to adjust the amount that we're paying out for that prize based on the amount of people that entered. So just an example, if you need to buy one AFD to enter the contest, and 100 people enter the contest, then we can pay out something like 20 AFD to the winner. That way, we're having 5 times more buys come in than what's paid out, and then with the whole vesting model and all of that, it ends up being super positive from a price perspective and from a people onboarding perspective. So that will be the next contest we do. This contest is specifically about joining our social medias. So this contest is to promote our new TikTok, our new Facebook, and our new Instagram, and also, of course, our Twitter, which we've had. And then the next contest will be like a buy-in contest where you have to buy one AFD or one AFP to enter, something like that. So anybody can enter this one. It's not going to have any relevance to if you bought or not, but it's going to drive people to all our social medias, which is important. I also have a interview scheduled with Altcoin Buzz, which I'll be announcing very shortly. We did a $100,000 BUSD injection into the Pigpen earlier today. I purposely did not do any kind of manual injection on Tuesday because I wanted to allow for the system to be fully automated and for everybody to recognize that it's fully automated. And, I can speak to that a little bit. So, of course, we've been subsidizing the injections with the dry powder funds that we have specifically for buybacks and to subsidize the injections. So the injections have been larger due to this. And we specifically designed the system in this way. So early on, before we roll out all of our products, which will drive significantly more cash flow to the Pigpen and to the dog pound, we could supplement it with the dry powder we have. And we have millions of dollars to do this. So this was always the plan. And I've said this was the plan for, for months, since before launch, that we would be delivering on our initial core products. This will take us out a few months after our launch. We would, the launch, the migration, these things triggered relatively large injections. And as we roll out new products, they'll increase the amount of cash flows that are going to injections. And as we prepare, and before we prepare these new product rollouts, we'll be able to supplement the injections with the dry powder that we have. And this is what we've been doing. And, it's not surprising to me because I've been in the space for a long time. But people saw, essentially every Tuesday that we would do the manual injection, which included whatever we raised from the to be automated, and we had something like a $40,000 injection instead of like $100,000 injection because it wasn't supplemented at all. And there was like a handful of people saying, you know, why are the injections smaller? Blah blah blah. You know, all of these things. And uh, the reality is that the injection was about the same size as it has been when we do migrations and stuff like that. And I just waited till today to do the supplemental injection on top of that because I wanted to allow Tuesday to just be fully automated and for people to see that it was done in a fully automated way. So we have the single asset lending and the dogs roulette, which will both be and also scratchy, but scratchy is a little bit further out. The dogs roulette and the single asset are very close to being ready to deliver, and those will also create large cash flows to the dog pound and to the pig pen. So we have a lot of products coming out that will increase the cash flows, but in the meantime, we have the core contracts, which are creating cash flows, and we have millions of dollars to supplement these the core cash flow models that we have now. So that's that. I didn't see it wasn't like there was a big amount of discontent or anything like that, but I did see some people bring it up, so I wanted to address it. Um, we're prepared to make a big marketing push. So getting our social media account set up was important for us to start a real big marketing push. Now that we have all our social media accounts set up, which is something we've been struggling with, because as a non-docs team, we have to take measures, OPSEC measures, to protect our identity and all of the things relevant to setting up an account. And when you set up an account with these major social media accounts, they want phone numbers, they want, 2FA in some cases, they want different uh, identity thresholds, which you can get around, but when you get around them, oftentimes you get flagged and the account ends up getting suspended or paused or whatever. And we were dealing with that for a while until we put everything in place that needed to be in place to be able to allow us to set up our social media. So now that we have that up, we can make a really big marketing push, which is why we have the banner ads. So we got PooCoin and DexTools banner ads going up today. We have Brave browser ads going up. We have an interview with Altcoin Buzz, which I believe we're doing next week, but I'll be able to give a date on that maybe tomorrow. Um, we have the social media contest going up, a new Gleam contest. Uh, we have a YouTube video which is premiering, but that's something that is that we've been doing, but that's just something that I need to I needed to promote today, so that's going up. And we've made a ton of progress with development, so I'm not gonna spend too much time uh just kind of talking freeform because I want to get to these questions, but let me post all of the social media accounts right now um, on the announcement channel. I got to make a tweet right now as well because they're waiting for the Gleam to go live. So let me just, and I was waiting for them to give me a piece of content. Okay, let me see. Okay, I'm posting the tweet right now for the contest. Yeah, let me talk a little bit about the market as well while I wait for them to give me this content. Let me just pause for 2 seconds. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, so the SEC meeting is uh, happening. It might be over by now. They're going to make an announcement. I believe that announcement is that Kraken is shutting down their staking on behalf of the settlement agreement that they made with the SEC. Um, there are some rumors that potentially staking might be cracked down on, which would actually be extremely bullish for us because this is something that is really only enforceable through a centralized platform perspective, right? It's not going to be enforceable at the end user, and it's not only not enforceable, it's they wouldn't even be trying to enforce DeFi platforms. So this is going to be something that uh, just like uh, FTX and just like all of these centralized lending platforms, going belly up is good for us. Uh, this kind of regulation drives the market into DeFi. It will. There's billions of dollars of locked up capital in staking on these centralized exchanges, and if the the SEC was to make a move to start to crack down on this staking, these centralized platforms are all going to shut it down, and it's going to leave true DeFi platforms that are non-custodial, that are fully open source, and that are not hiding behind U.S. licenses and corporations, and just allowing their work and their code to speak for them will be the ones that benefit. So it might seem a little counterintuitive, but regulation is not always a bad thing when you're not the regulated party, and your competition is going to be who bears the brunt of that, essentially. So some of this regulation that might be coming down the pipeline, it's big for DeFi, just like the FTX debacle was, a little bit of a black eye short term on crypto. It's massive for DeFi. So let me see. I just wanted to touch on that while I wait for this content to be ready. And it is ready. Okay. I'll post it in the Telegram group so you guys can see uh, what I was waiting for and what I'm doing. Yeah, I needed to have this little image for the tweet. I've been waiting for them to give this to me so I can make the tweet. Okay, guys. So I'm gonna make this tweet. I'm gonna post our social medias on the call channel, and then I'm gonna get right into the questions because if one of the, I don't, I haven't even looked at the questions. You guys that have been around for a while know how I am. I'm not, I don't duck any questions. So for me, it's, whenever I do an interview or something like that, and they ask me what they can ask, what they can't ask, if I want to review the questions beforehand, anything like that, I just tell them no. Just, I'll answer any questions. Send them to me, and we'll do it. Uh, so I have not looked at the questions yet, but I'm going to answer the questions, and then if there's something I haven't addressed specifically from the questions, then I'll address that after. But there's so much that we could, address and talk about. I kind of want to stick to the contest and the questions because uh, that's what we have in front of us right now. So, and yesterday I didn't do the questions, and I kind of said that we would get to questions this week. So. Okay, guys. 1 minute. I'm just making the tweet. Using Twitter through an emulated Android devices, okay, especially after the changes that have been made to Twitter, it's constantly crashing. Okay, the tweet is up. Let me just All right, just making the announcement on the call channel now with our new social medias. The tweet is directing people to our website, which has the contest on it. Of course, they couldn't add that tweet to the contest until the tweet was up. So the contest is up without the tweet, but they're adding the tweet right now. So one of the tasks that you can do is support the tweet I just made, but do it through the contest. Okay. Uh, okay, I just posted. If you go to, let me see if it's up. It takes a little bit to build, so let me see if the Glebe contest is on the site yet. It is. Okay. Uh, Also, you can see that we changed the video. So if you see the video, we changed the thumbnail. We have a shorter 2-minute animated video that we're going to be putting up. But in the meantime, just to make the landing page look more presentable for the new contest, we switched the thumbnail for the current video, so it looks nicer because the other thumbnail had launching November 1st. It was the one that we had for launch, so we needed to switch that out. Okay, so I'm going to start going to the questions now, but go to our site and participate in the contest. We're going to be adding the TikTok account and the TikTok to the. We're going to be adding a new TikTok account, and we're going to be adding the TikTok account to the contest. We're getting that set up right now, but we want to, get this kicked off for the AMA. So we're we're starting it with what we have right now. We're going to add an additional Twitter thing and a TikTok promo into the Gleam contest later today. So let me just pull up these questions. Okay, someone's saying that in a lot of farms there are partnerships, and why haven't we seen partnerships for Animal Farm? Um, does Animal Farm well, this grammar doesn't make sense, but let me see. Does Oh, okay. So they're asking if projects are interested in partnering with Animal Farm, uh, and uh, if so, what aspects would they be participating in? So uh, people know we're a big project on BSC. If we wanted to just say, okay, we're constantly being inundated with projects either that have tried to do a launch and for whatever reason could not get traction, so they want to uh, partner with us in some way or want to sell us their tech so we can launch their product under our umbrella. Uh, we're constantly having projects coming up to us that want a partnership for a whole wide range of reasons. If we were the typical project, we could be getting uh, a ton. We could be getting new partnerships every single day, but we're not interested in doing what other projects do and having a partnership just for a short-term hype to expose our investor base to this other project that is going to turn out to be a crap project, right? Because the vast majority of projects out there are just garbage, and partnerships are very easy to get. And when you have investor base and like the engagement that we get, getting partnerships is no problem. The issue is we want only quality partnerships, and we want partnerships that make sense from a ecosystem perspective. So what we're waiting for the partnership vaults is Scratchy, because Scratchy is going to allow our partners, in which there are many of them, some really quality blue chip projects that are ready to go. Uh, Scratchy will provide a utility for them that will not only allow them to utilize our products, but also create a cash flow for the partnership vaults in their asset that we can use as a reward in the partnership vaults. So the partner that we're working with does not only or are not limited to providing the tokens in the form of inflating their supply to create a reward for our partnership vaults. Scratchy allows them to adopt a new utility in the form of Scratchy, and by its mechanisms and the game theory of Scratchy, create a cash flow of their native asset coming from the buybacks from the purchase of tickets on their platform, which allow us to pay out their asset for staking of AFD, AFP, or some LP token of AFP, AFD in their native asset. So absolutely, we're going to have partnerships, and we have a lot of projects that are very interested in partnerships. We just had an interview with a project that has a tool that allows you to auto compound and adjust the ratio in which you're taking profit relative to compounding. And it also allows you to create custom ETFs that you can take profit into. So this is a project that we just had a meeting with that we could potentially be partnering with. It would most likely look like them adopting Scratchy, us potentially adopting part of their tech in our platform, and then having a partnership vault where the supply of their tokens that's being bought back through Scratchy, plus some percentage of the supply that they're willing to give towards the reward model, would go to our partnership vault. We have a massive NFT project, like one of the blue chip NFT projects, that is waiting for Scratchy to come out to have a partnership with us. There's another project that came out shortly after Drip that their dev team's friendly with us and our dev team that will be absolutely having a partnership with. There are some really big projects like leaders that are that we're in talks with right now about having a farm that will allow us to earn their asset through back end lending of our native assets. So back end lending of AFP and BUSD and AFD and BNB pairing would allow us to would it would allow us to stake on their platform those assets and earn their native asset, which is huge, right? That's something that we're in negotiations with right now. With I'll just say it with PancakeSwap. First and foremost, we had to work out the issues that that was surrounding PancakeSwap with their broken slippage mechanic that was causing people to be taxed when they shouldn't have been taxed. Their transactions should have failed if their allowed slippage was not up past 90%. But because their allowed slippage mechanic was not working properly, it took something innovative like AFD to reveal this. They needed to make some changes to their contracts, their router contracts, and that was first and foremost in our partnership discussions with them, and we got that done. We also got the risk ratings of our native assets reduced, so on PancakeSwap it does not say high risk anymore. And the only reason why it said that in the first place is because they're using Avenger DAO, and Avenger DAO does these automated scans of tokens and gives them a risk rating. But this is, no offense to Avenger DAO, because, I mean, if they're going to just provide this kind of service, then I guess they want to use some sort of automation, and you're never going to have a good automated auditing system, right? Because what it does is, for example, it looked at AFP, it looked at AFD, saw they had a mint function, saw they had a blacklist function, the script did, and the audit script, and just put high risk, not taking into consideration that we passed ownership of the tokens to the mastership contracts, so the deployer wallet can no longer mint, right? Only the mastership contracts can adjust emissions, and the blacklist function was something that was only utilized at launch to prevent botters, right? And to prevent botters from sniping and doing sandwich attacks. So not all functions are created the same, and not all functions are managed in the same way. But when you just have a scanning system that just looks at what the functions are and not takes into account who owns and can call these functions, then it can give a rating that is not relevant to the reality of the project at all. And that's what happened. So we just spoke with PancakeSwap. We had them reach out to Avenger DAO for us, and we got that addressed. So that was first and foremost. Now we're in discussions with furthering a potential partnership, specifically to start earning yield on our AFD and AFP liquidity. So let me keep going with these questions. Will AFD be the main token used for Dogs Roulette? How is development progressing? Will it be hosted on Animal Farm? Yes. So we've designed it in a way that we can add additional tokens, and we could even do a form of white label model where we could even have partners utilize the product. We're starting off with AFD, but the primary asset that people will be buying in with will be BUSD. Now, why is this? First of all, people will be able to spend their AFD. So it was important to me and important to the dev team, and I'm sure the community, that people are able to utilize the AFD they already have in the game, right? So, yes, you could utilize your AFD for single plays. So to play one round, you could, the pricing won't be one AFD, but let's just say, right, just to make it simple, you pay one AFD and that gives you one round of the game. You can do that. If you want to buy credits in bulk, right? So one AFD gives you one credit, and you can spend AFD to do that. You can also buy with BUSD, and you can buy credits in bulk with BUSD for a slightly reduced price. So if you buy, let's just as I said, to make the math easy, one credit costs one AFD. But if you buy 10 credits at a time, you get one extra credit, something like that, right? And the reason why we want this model is so people can still spend their AFD that they already have, but we're encouraging fresh capital coming in. And also, we're never relying on selling AFD to pay for the system to be sustainable, for things such as platform costs, for things such as the Oracle calls, because we're utilizing Chainlink. It costs money to get VRF calls from Chainlink. We don't want to be selling AFD to pay for these things. So having a model where you could buy single credits with AFD, and that gives you one credit, or you could buy credits in bulk with BUSD. That BUSD is swapped for AFD, and a percentage of about something like 5% is put aside of the BUSD to pay for the Oracle development and a small marketing budget. So it allows the system to be fully sustainable without ever needing to sell AFD, and it encourages fresh capital to come into AFD, but you could still utilize your AFD in there. So it's the best of all scenarios, and this is the model that we're utilizing. And then as far as the development process, things are going very well. We have the UI. It's essentially finished. We had the contracts, which are finished, but we needed to do testing. We had a meeting 2 days ago about the testing. We got the test results back. Some slight adjustments are being implemented based on these changes, and we will likely be wrapped next week. So that's what we're looking at. I'm not going to give any hard dates until everything is finished, but we're close. We're about a week away. So yesterday, last week, I was saying that we're about 2 weeks away, and we're still we're on pace. And as soon as development is 100% wrapped, we'll give a launch date, which will be March. We'll be looking at March, just So early March. That way we have a couple weeks just to do strong promotion on it going live, and be able to create a lot of hype and excitement for it. That way we can drive additional engagement into our platform, and it's not just a utility but also a promotional tool. So let me see. I'll go to the next question. Okay. What can we expect with single asset lending? What utility will this add to Animal Farm? Is this a major innovation? Yeah. So it's evolved as we've developed it and as we've been through the development process. I wanted to ensure that if we're going to deliver this, it is adding a unique utility and really game changing and advancing the innovation of the space. So just having a single asset lending pool that lends to one bridge, for example, and earns yield was not enough, right? That was the seed of an idea, but we've really evolved the product since then. So what our single asset lending tool is doing is it's aggregating across three bridges, right? We're utilizing Seller, multi-chain, which is AnySwap. They switched the branding from AnySwap to multi-chain, and Stargate. And we're allowing our user base to stake single assets and have those assets be aggregated across the three bridges to allow you to be earning the highest possible yield for that asset. If after you've staked, the bridge that you're currently lending to on the back end adjusts to being a less profitable and lower yielding option, then our aggregated contract will automatically swap you out of that bridge and into the more profitable, higher yielding bridge. All automated. And because we're utilizing bridges, but fully decentralized bridges, and the bridges that are the leaders of the space, they've been around for years. They're the ones that Binance are directing people to. We've done our due diligence on them. PancakeSwap has done their due diligence on them. Binance has done their due diligence. It's a low risk option, but because it's bridges and not something like Aave or Compound, we're earning an additional 15 to 25% APY on our single assets relative to something like you would get in like a Yearn Finance, which is aggregating across like Aave and Compound, where you're lucky if you're earning 3%, right, on your stables. This is 15 to 25% compounded, which is another major utility that is not offered on any other single asset lending model. So it's taking the reward token that you're earning from this bridge, it's compounding the majority into your principal asset. So it's selling it for wrapped Bitcoin if you're in wrapped Bitcoin, if that's what you have staked. If you're in wrapped ETH, it's swapping for wrapped ETH for you. If you're one of the stables, it's swapping for the stables. It's staking the majority of what you've earned into your principal, and then the remainder of it is being used as a cash flow for the dog pound and the pig pen. So this is why I said early on in the conversation that we are just starting to create cash flows for the pig pen and dog pound. And we knew from day one that we would have a significant boost at launch and during migration of this stuff of the pig pen and the dog pound. I believe the regular automated injection this week for the pig pen was something around 40K, 40,000. And we were able to supplement that with an extra 100,000 today from the millions of dollars of dry powder we have, which has been costly. We've been putting to work every week. I brought this up earlier, but I'll bring it up now that there's more people in here. I purposely did not do any supplemental injection on Tuesday because I wanted to show that the process is fully automated and it did not require any interactions for me at all for the injection to happen. And it was about $40,000. It was a little bit less than previous week's injections because there was no additional supplemental injection that I would manually do. That comes from the dry powder that we have. Now, we always knew that we would come up with our core contracts, which would create great cash flows for dog pound and pig pen, but it would just be a start. And we'd be able to supplement that with our dry powder until we get our additional products out, which are going to be even greater drivers of cash flow to the dog pound and the pig pen. So, you know, I feel very good about where we are from a developer standpoint and just from the whole ecosystem, right? There's always going to be a bleeding of people that are in it for the short term that are not paying attention. But the people who are paying attention to the roadmap that recognize that we're just getting started and see the potential of what we're doing, we're not losing them and we're not going to lose them. And the marketing that we're about to start, and really, I would say today is our first big step into a strong, consistent marketing now that we have our social media set up. The people that are in it for the long term and the people that are securing their profit in the form of BUSD and BNB through our dog pound and through our pig pen, I believe are the ones that are going to significantly benefit from this project over the years to come, right? This is a project that I have a multi-year vision on. We have products that are in development now that 5 out of 7 of them are in the end stages of development that will allow us to release a new major project or product for our platform every other month, taking us into fall. That's not including some of the stuff that we haven't started developing yet, but I'm 100% committed to building and are huge products. Products that will be the equivalent to what DEXs were to exchanges to the lending market, right? So we're just getting started, and I spoke a little bit about the injections, but now that there's more people here, and I kind of brushed by it anyways, I figured I would address it again directly. So the single asset lending option is huge innovation, not just because it's able to pay out way more yield than the competing product. It just has way more utility, the way that it's aggregating cross bridges for you. It's compounding for you. It's creating new cash flows for our existing products. You're not only earning your principal asset, which is likely a top 10. It's wrapped Bitcoin, wrapped ETH, stables, BNB. It's also paying you out in AFD, which can be utilized to also earn a BUSD and BNB if you're utilizing them in the contracts that allow you to earn AFP, earn BUSD and BNB with your AFD and AFP. And it's also creating a greater cash flow for those contracts. So let me keep going because we get a lot of questions. I want to get through all of them.
Forex, just check your DMs right quick.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Okay, Facebook is Animal Farm DeFi. So let me just update that. It's corrected the Glebe contest, but okay, let me see.
Perfect.
Well, now it deleted the image, so I have to create a new one. Okay. Okay, let me keep going through these questions. Someone saying they'd love to hear about Drip Garden. There's nothing to hear about Drip Garden. I mean, Drip Garden is a fully working product that is a standalone product that's doing its thing. Um, okay, someone is saying, considering we might potentially have a Uniswap V3 on BSC soon, is there plans for UD BUSD, UD Wrap BNB? This is great for us because it's going to offer another opportunity that will give us negotiating leverage for a additional potential partner that is low risk and that we see as being a trusted development team and trusted participant in the space that we can earn yield on through their farms for our native assets. So I would love to have Uniswap come over. I have nothing against PancakeSwap. PancakeSwap is great, but having another it's always good to have competition. So I would love that, and we developed our contracts in a way that allow us to evolve in this way, and we would have a vote, right? We would have a vote on the governance pool before we integrated them, but for sure it would be a positive thing. At least the opportunity for them to come over to the our chain and discuss utilizing them is a big opportunity. Just them being here for the competition alone gives us a lot more leverage. Okay. The next question I don't think makes sense. Okay. So yeah, someone is asking, are there future plans incentivizes users to increase their drip garden or piggy bank positions? Well, the drip garden and the piggy bank are both standalone, uh, unique products that are functioning perfectly, and both of them have an element of speculation associated with them that require the staker to essentially time the engagement with the contract to determine what's the best strategy that they should implement to profit from the system, and what will bring value to the piggy bank and what will bring value to the drip garden is making pigs and making drip more valuable, because it just becomes an additional option for you to earn drip and AFP liquidity. So our primary focus is not to specifically build some new thing for drip garden or some new thing for piggy bank. It's to create more products and more incentive to hold and accumulate more AFP and more drip, and by default that makes drip garden, that makes piggy bank more attractive. Now piggy bank, because it has time locking and because it has these other mechanics, is lower risk than drip garden. I've said from day one that drip garden is a higher risk contract. It's highly speculative relative to, say, the faucet or definitely the pig pen or the dog pound. So everybody needs to make their own decision on how they want to interact with these contracts. But from day one, I've said that the drip guard is a higher risk product. There is an element of speculation there, and every user needs to determine what is their best course of action in it. Piggy bank is, I would say, lower risk. And when I say lower or high risk, I'm not talking from a security perspective or anything like that, right? They're secure, they're strong. Most importantly, also extremely important, they do not add any inflation to the assets. They can only pay out what has been staked in them. So they can only, by default, have a net positive impact on the price of drip and on the price of AFP. So they're functioning perfectly. And really, the way that you support these products is just by making drip and AFP more valuable, right? So there are a ton of things that we're building that will continue to add value to AFP, AFD, and drip, new products, etc. Drip Garden and Piggy Bank are finished, immutable contracts, right? So and they're working perfectly, right? Whether you made the right play on them or whether you should stake in piggy bank over pig pen, or these are all your decisions to make. We're just providing the tools and the opportunity and the open source contracts, and then you determine how you want to use them. Oh, so, all right. The next question is, how would Animal Farm perform in a bull market? Can a significant increase in daily dividends be expected? Absolutely. I mean, we launched V1 in peak bull market, and we got something around like $700 million TVL in the first few weeks. Right now, the market is. I believe that we've made the bottom, and I've been saying that when we hit 18,000, that's when I basically said that we may not be at the bottom, but it's time to start DCAing back in. It's time to start dollar cost averaging back in, and just based on historical cycles and based on my analysis of the market, that made sense to me, and it looks like that was a very good play. We could see a correction here. If you're a member of the Dow, you saw that I said I think that 24K was a little bit of a macro top and we would see a correction. But I do think that we've high probability that the whatever it was, 16K, 15.8, somewhere around there, was a macro bottom, and that we could range for a while, but the chances of us breaking below that are low, and likely we are starting to see the first steps towards a bull market. And the whole market is more liquid when you're in a bull market. There's a ton more capital just in the liquidity pools, a ton more holders, a ton more participants, and will be significantly larger from a market as a whole in this next bull run relative to the last one. So right now we're in a bear market, I would say, but it's turning around, and this is when you want to be building. This is when you want to be creating the that momentum that is hard to get started, but once you get it rolling, is very powerful. And if you can get that rolling in a bear market, that's how you're going to excel in the bull market. So right now we're laying strong groundwork. So when this bull market really kicks off, it'll be very powerful for us. And the dividends that are paid out are 100% relative to the actions that are taking place, right? The trading, the deposits, the withdrawals, the value of the assets. This is all dependent on the market. And the beautiful part about it is you're earning regardless, and you're earning a very stable BNB and BUSD yield, regardless if it's bull or bear market. But in a bull market, we'll just be able to perform that much greater. So a lot of projects have essentially been wiped out by this bear market, and for us, we got in at pretty much optimal timing, right? So Animal Farm got off the ground very, very good timing, and there's been a lot of speculation and rumors that this was the plan all along, and I would just say to that, the timing was perfect, and I think we will benefit from it. But I'm not doing that kind of hands-on management, right? So we'll just say it was very lucky. All right, let me go to the next question. There's a question about the referral system. If we would have if we could potentially do better onboarding if we had a referral system similar to Drip or the same as Drip. And the reality is that does great for onboarding, and it works very well for Drip, but it also limits you, right? You get gate kept and doors close when you have this kind of referral system, largely because the people that are gatekeeping and shutting doors are not taking the time to understand it and look at it as a multi-level marketing thing, which a traditional multi-level marketing system is unsustainable, but it's due to multiple commissions being paid out per deposit, or not even bonuses being paid out when deposits or purchases are not even happening. The concentration of capital at the top, all of the things that Drip solved we get associated with because of the team aspect of it. So uh, that kind of referral system is great for very strong out the box promotion, but having a less aggressive referral system may mean that we need to put in a little more hard work in our marketing, but it's going to ensure that we don't get gate kept in the same ways. So the honest answer is it makes it a little more difficult in the short term, but in the long term, we will have more opportunities and we can get a lot higher end opportunities without such an aggressive referral structure. So that's that. Okay. So are there any concerns I have with the general state of crypto? I kind of talked about the general state of crypto from my analysis of the macro cycle. As far as regulation and the FTX thing, I spoke to that. So I'll just read this word for word. In regards to FTX scandal, SEC regulation, central exchanges going bankrupt. Um, since we're truly decentralized, do you think that could affect our projects? Yes, it could affect our projects in an extremely positive way, right? These centralized platforms going down, regulation coming in, that there's rumors that regulation could come in surrounding staking, right? This is coming from the US SEC, and they will be regulating centralized platforms, specifically exchanges who have staking platforms. This does not apply to DeFi platforms, which are not under US jurisdiction, and our platform is truly decentralized where the user are the ones calling all of the functions. And the SEC does not have the will or a reason or the resources to go after individual users. So what it will look like if this regulation comes down will be all of our major centralized competition going under, and the small handful of truly quality decentralized platforms with staking becoming the only option in town. And that's very good for us. So I said this at the start, not all regulation is bad regulation. I would like to see the market as unregulated as possible, but that doesn't mean that there aren't regulations that could benefit us. And that would be one of them, right? And these are things FTX, centralized exchanges going bankrupt, this whole thing. Yes, it's a short-term black eye on the market in general, on the crypto market, but it's a long-term win for DeFi. And even JP Morgan came out and said that what happened with FTX was not a problem with DeFi, and that it was a run-of-the-mill Ponzi scheme essentially. So it's very well recognized by the big players that DeFi is here to stay, and the major black eyes that we saw is not it is not indicative of issues with DeFi. It's the same old issues that centralized platforms have had forever as far as mismanaging funds and running schemes, lack of transparency. Okay, so will there be an engine for the mini DAO? There was talk about it being 30 REAP. Is it possible we can confirm this? So the development of Scratchy is okay. So just to word it another way, the mini DAO is going to come out specifically for the initial raise of Scratchy, the pre-sale raise of Scratchy, and the two developers that built Scratchy needed to come on and help us with the core contracts of Animal Farm. And now that the last bit of development work that needed to be done for the core contracts of Animal Farm, which was the automation of the pig pen injections, they're now fully freed up to start working on Scratchy, and they've been working on Scratchy for the past week. The Scratchy is completed from a contract perspective. It's completed from a dashboard UI perspective. We still need some of the cosmetic stuff. We need the UI, the landing page. We want a media page. We need to do some basic stuff like set up the social medias. And we need to finalize our audits and testing because we're getting third-party audits done. And we need to come up with the specific terms for the pre-sale raise. And now that the core contract for Animal Farm are wrapped up, we've started preparing all of this. So I don't want to say what the specific buy-in will be for the mini DAO. It will involve REAP. It will involve other assets as well. I don't want to say the amount or anything like that because we want to work out the terms of the Scratchy raise before we do any kind of mini DAO opening. Not only that, we're going to be doing a bunch of third-party raises. I've reviewed about a dozen third-party projects that want us to raise capital for them and also want partnerships. There's a layer one that there's a layer one that uses a consensus model to do cross-chain swaps. I think that it's going to be pretty big. I think that it's likely going to be worth getting involved with them, and potentially it's looking like we're going to raise capital for them in the DAO. So we have a handful of third-party projects that we want to partner with and raise capital for, and also Scratchy is the most likely the next raise that we'll do, which will involve the mini DAO. So we could potentially do one raise in the tier 1 DAO before we do Scratchy, because there is one raise that is under review that we have a short time frame on that I know DAO members want to invest in, that we may open up and raise capital for before mini DAO. But mini DAO will be before Scratchy 100%. We want to get Scratchy out by April. So, we want to have the roulette, dogs roulette, and single asset lending for March. At least dog roulette for March. We want to have single asset lending for either end of March or April. And then we want to start preparing for the Scratchy pre-sale raise in probably end of April, something like that. I want to be able to space these out because they are big deals. They require resources. They require education and promotion, all of these things. So I don't want to crowd them because we'll benefit more if we don't. So, but they will be finished well before April. So really when we launch them, it's just going to be about when can we get the biggest promotional bang for our buck, essentially. So I don't want to say what token specifically we will be doing the buy-ins for the mini DAO, but we will implement REAP in some way. That's for sure, because REAP is the DAO token. So REAP will be a part of it. Okay, someone's asking me, is there any kind of plan, in place if something were to happen to me? Yes, me as in forex. Yes. Everything has been fully automated. We currently have the social media set up so the marketing managers are creating the content and are preparing the content, and our project manager BP is signing off on them for them to go live. This way, I don't have to be available, every minute of the day to have a constant flow of content going out there, and we can delegate those tasks in a way where there's still a checks and balance. And um, due to this, if something really was to happen to be, uh, we could still move. The project could still move on perfectly fine because all of the function calls, all of the ecosystem, all of those mechanics are automated. They're either automated or called by the user. We could continue with marketing, and uh, at least the stuff that's already developed could even potentially still come out. But um, first and foremost, people's funds would not be put at risk. People could still use everything that's been launched, and we could continue. It could even continue to be marketed. So, uh, I'm not going anywhere. Right? I'm fully committed, and there's some things that I am very committed to building that will be built and will be launched. But if the worst was to happen to me, things would continue rolling. We have a very strong community. Just something was on my mind, so let me just say it because I just thought about having a strong community. Someone was saying that we should do a sports book and wants me to do a sports book and sports book this, sports book that. I'm not very interested in a sports book. I'm not interested in doing any product which is essentially going to guarantee that the vast majority of our users lose money to one entity, right? And uh, it's a dirty business, right? Running sports books. The only way you're going to compete is if you do what the other books are doing, and if you do what the other books are doing, it's a very unfair system where you're limiting people that win, or you're limiting people that have shown to have an edge. You're giving free rolls and all kinds of promotion to people that are losing to keep them losing. It's just a dirty business that I don't want to get involved with. But there is nothing that is putting me in a position, technically, right, from a contract perspective, to do a sports book that anybody else in the community could do for with our assets, right? So someone could create a sports book right now, integrate our tokens, have a percentage of, say, the profits made from the sports book going to buying back of our tokens. None of this requires me. So there are a ton of things that I want to do that we're going to do that are specifically DeFi related, um, and I think are a lot bigger than a sports book and a lot better for the users than a sports book, and are a lot more morally sound, I would say. And this is not about me. This is about the community. But I'm a multi-millionaire for a long time. I don't want to be making my money running in a shady business like a sports book. I just don't like that business. So, but there's nothing preventing someone in the community from doing it, and getting the engagement and creating a cash flow for our tokens and all that. So, sometimes when I see people saying to me, "Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? You should do this. You should do that." There's no reason why I should be the one to do it when you're the one with the idea. You think it's a great idea, and you're in just as much of a place from a technical perspective to do it. Meaning, our contracts are open source. You can integrate the tokens. You can integrate any of our contracts just like I could, right? So, that's where I stand on those things. And I'm not saying this because I want to, just talk bad about sports books right now. I'm saying it because a lot of people have a lot of good ideas, and the only thing preventing you from doing it is the failure to take those steps to do it. And if some of you were to step up and really start building cool things, like some of you are, some of the games, for example, then you're going to have my support. There's just some things that I don't want to get involved with. If I see a product that is going to lose money for the vast majority of people, and essentially just funnel money into the manager of the service, that's just not something I want to get involved with. I want to create products that make it easier for people to invest their capital without the need for higher risk speculation, right? That's like the opposite of a sports book. Now, why would I want to do something like Dogs Roulette and not a sports book? There's a huge distinction between the two, and that distinction is the 100% fair and open source and on-chain, provably trustless, fair model that Dogs Roulette, for example, will operate under, as opposed to something like a sports book where the business model is intrinsically unfair and is reliant on doing things like limiting people who are consistently finding an edge, and all of the other negative things that they do, and they purposely do not ban users because they're allowed to exclude business, but it looks bad from a optics perspective to be banning people for winning. But they do things like limit accounts down to $1 per bet if you're consistently winning. So and it's not just about winning. If you're, for example, constantly taking advantage of line moves through arbitrage, these kinds of things, you will be limited. So anyways, there are some really cool things that people are building. There's a really cool battler game that we're going to be implementing in our ecosystem relatively shortly. The core development is already done for it, and I'm extremely excited about that. And maybe I'll talk about it next week, next AMA, because I want to get through these questions. But it's huge, right? It's another cash flow for our assets. It gives a awesome utility for our assets that essentially allow people to so I don't want to give away too many details, but essentially it's a battler game where you can generate players in the battler game to battle other people. Each character that you generate is generated through minting an NFT. That NFT gets special I would say attributions, such as like their attack value, their defense value, etc. And it's randomized, and you can utilize this NFT to battle other people in game, wager with them in game, and you can buy and host these battles in gyms, right? So there's like battle dungeons or gyms which you can purchase and then rent out to people who want to battle. You get a share of all the wagers that take place in your gym, and it's perfect for drip integration because there's gangs and gang leaders and all of that, which is implemented in the game, which goes perfect with our team mechanics. There's some things that people are building and that we're building that I haven't spoken much about because I don't want to go too much into detail about the things that we have not already committed to, because there's a list of things that we've already committed to, which we are very close to delivering on. But there's all kinds of things behind the scenes that I'm not talking about that we have not committed to, which are very close to being wrapped up and ready to deliver as far as development. So this battler game is one of the one of the big things that I haven't been talking about, but is going to make a huge impact on our platforms, and that I'm very excited about. And I didn't give it justice with the explanation that I just gave, but only because I don't want to give away a ton of details before we're ready to, right? So, all right, let me keep going with the questions. So we know the injections are automated, but what are the details of the automation? What part is automated? The selling of the cake, the injections of the BUSD. Would appreciate a clarity on exact numbers and how it works. Well, as I've said, uh, the numbers are based on interactions with the platform. There's no way that we could predict what the numbers would be, so it's all completely relative to the uh, the yield that we're earning on the back end through our lending. And the way the automation works, I explained it in 100% detail in the last AMA, which is why it was a bit frustrating on Tuesday when even some people in the Dow were kind of complaining, saying that like there was a lack of transparency with the injections. Uh, when I explained in detail 100% how they worked in the last AMA, and they're 100% automated and 100% on chain. So they could not be more transparent. Like it's ridiculous to say something like that. But the way they work, as I explained last week, is the the non-native assets that get staked, right? The LP token specifically, because we don't have single asset lending yet, but that's something that's coming very shortly, and will be huge. But currently, we're doing lending with non-native LPs to PancakeSwap. That's generating cake. That cake is being allocated as is laid out in the document, and the cake which is allocated to the pigpen injections goes into a management contract. This management contract is called multiple times a day whenever anybody interacts with a variety of contracts on our platform. So when there's a cooldown period, which means a certain amount of blocks need to pass before a function can be called, and this cooldown period is set for selling the cake to ensure that the cake is being sold multiple times a day, but not with every single function call. We don't want every time someone interacts with the contracts for them to be paying for a tiny amount of cake to be sold, right? So we've set it up so the cooldown period is a few hours long. That way, multiple times a day, the cake that's building up in this management wallet is sold, right? And the management wallet is just a contract, which is calling a function to swap the cake for BUSD and hold that BUSD. And it holds that BUSD in this contract until 1 week's worth of block has passed. And then once 1 week of blocks have passed, the next time someone does an interaction with any of the contracts, it goes to call that function, and it says, okay, how many blocks have passed since the last time cake was sold? Has enough blocks been passed? If enough blocks have passed, sell the cake. Now, have enough blocks passed since the last time that BUSD that the cake has been sold for has been injected? Okay, it's been a week worth of blocks. Inject it. So it's the users that are interacting with the various contracts on our platform that are calling these functions themselves. And what determines whether those functions are called or not is the amount of blocks that have passed. And this is all 100% on chain, 100% automated. So literally, all you have to do is look at the contracts and, for example, look at the Pigpen contract and and you could see right there the injection that happened. You could then go on a block explorer and look what contract just did that injection. You'll see it's 100% open source. You'll see the transactions it did. You can look at the code. You can see when it's calling these functions and how it operates. It could not be more transparent. So uh, that's how it works. And I gave an explanation last week before the injections were automated, right? Because last week I did the last manual injection, and I explained how this automated injection would go, and then inevitably you still have people like saying, complaining for whatever reason. I expect that from the random person. Did not expect that from some DAO members, but it's you know you can only do so much education, so much educating. If people are not willing to take it upon themselves to do the bare minimum, you can never do enough educating. Like it will never be enough, right? The users need to want to do some. Uh, they need to have some drive to learn it themselves, right? Because you can make it fully transparent. You can make the whole thing on chain, open source. But if the people aren't willing to look at the contract, if they're not willing to look at the transactions, then maybe they think it will not be transparent enough. But that's only due to their lack of knowledge. So, of course, we'll work to continue to educate and onboard. But as I said, I did a full explanation of this in the last AMA. So literally, it's just a matter of people not taking the time to hear us out or listen or do their own investigating. Okay, some of these. I'm getting another question about regulation. I already addressed all of that. Someone is asking about V1 capital for V1. There is some capital for from V1. The migration over. So there's the dry powder for injections. Yes, we still have billions of dollars worth of capital left for that. Also, as I said that I would do, we want to start doing buybacks of AFP and AFD, but mostly focus on injections. But we do want to have some buybacks. In order to do buybacks of AFP, from a promotional perspective and from a security perspective, it's best not to do it from the dev or deployer wallet. If you're constantly doing buybacks from the same wallet with AFP, which does not have a significant tax, eventually someone's going to set up a bot just to front run all large buys coming from the deployer wallet. So I set $400,000 to Bybit, which I'm then able to withdraw 2 wallets not associated with the dev wallet, which we could use for AFP buybacks. I did the first one today, the first of many, and I bought back the AFP from a random wallet and burnt it. Right, said use the burn mechanic in AFP to remove those tokens from circulation. It's the first of many. We're going to keep it rolling. We're mainly going to focus on injections to the dog pound and pig pen because we don't want to reward people for dumping AFP or AFD by causing a spike in the price. But we do want to do some supporting of the price. I think the best way to do that is a nice balance between buybacks and injections with a focus on injections. So that's what we'll be doing. So yes, we have that. We have a few $1 million of dry powder from V1 to V2 migration from V1, and we have some capital from the marketing budget for V1 as well that we'll be putting to use. The way that we're handling that is we have a rolling budget every week, which is coming from what we're earning for V2. And then whenever we have any kind of like high ticket thing, like for example, I don't know, an interview with, let me just throw something random out there. Like we have an interview with Elon Musk that costs $250,000, for example. That would not come out of our rolling budget. That's like a one-time, very large expense, and we're using the V1, the leftover V1 marketing funds for those kinds of expenses. So anything that's like out of our normal budget that takes a large amount of capital that maybe is like above and beyond what we can do with our normal budget, the plan is to supplement our marketing budget with the V1 marketing funds so we can get those things done. And we're really about to ramp up marketing. Really, the sticking point was the social medias. So, we're really going to be full steam ahead now. How do I think the fiat integration will impact Animal Farm? I think it will be very big. I think that specifically because of the way that we did our fiat on ramp, we set up a very special fiat on ramp that allows for non KYC. So I don't know any fiat on ramp that allows people to use debit, credit, or gift cards to do purchases up to $2,000 in one transaction with no KYC. That allows for someone to anonymously onboard to crypto, and they would by default be doing it into our assets. And even if they're only using it because they want to be able to onboard without having to KYC, they're still coming through our assets, which means, say they come in through AFP because that's the one with the lowest tax threshold, they're still going to be paying 3% to they're still going to be paying 3% burn rate. So they're essentially leaving 3% of their capital in the AFP pool. So we're going to attract a significant amount of people, some percentage, that are going to be coming in just based on the utility of the fiat on ramp alone. And they'll be using our tokens to do that. It's also very big because we were able to work out a special deal with this bank that allowed us to do smart contract integration to set up special incentive structures for people that are coming in with fresh capital. That's another big selling point for our fiat on ramp that is going to make a big difference from a promotional standpoint. And then on top of that, there's things that we're doing behind the scenes that require a fiat on and off ramp that I'm not talking about now, that are very big, right? There's a major company that we're going to be partnering with, where we're waiting for the final, basically the bow to be put on drip, not because it's specific to that, but because we need those devs freed up so we can move on to starting work with this other partner to provide a product which is going to revolutionize super chats, right? It's going to be very, very big. It requires a fiat on ramp. We're not only going to provide the first standardized super chat model, but also we'll be able to do it for traditional payment structures as well, and be able to beat all of the traditional payment options, such as YouTube super chat model, or Odyssey, or Twitch, or any of the other third-party models, by providing way lower fees. So, and there's so many other things that I don't want to get into now, specific to the super chats and other things we're developing, because we have a handful of things that are ready to go now and are in the end stages of being ready to go that I want to put my focus on, but there's so much going on behind the scenes, and they all tie into each other. And the fiat on ramp, and not just the fiat on ramp, but the banking services alone that we've established here is going to make all the difference moving forward. Uh, my vision is to build products that support all of DeFi. Everything I'm building from this point on will support all of DeFi, and will use them to create additional utility and additional cash flows for our platforms, and our platforms will be the first movers. And as other platforms adopt it, it will create additional cash flows for our platform. But I want to build things that service all of DeFi, because that's how we're going to scale the space. That's how we're going to onboard. We need to create real utility, and we want our utility to scale. So there's so much going on that behind the scenes that we're working on, and a fiat on ramp and banking services in general allow for a lot of the things that are happening that we're not specifically talking about right now. All right, I got 3 more questions. So, okay, one of them is about Scratchy. I gave an update on that. Scratchy is we just started working on it again last week, but Scratchy, the contracts were already finished. The dashboard, the UIs were already finished for Scratchy before V2 Animal Farm came out. We had a little bit of an issue with one of our developers where he kind of ghosted us, and I needed to bring in our Scratchy devs to wrap up Animal Farm V2. So that put Scratch on the shelf for a few months. And now, just starting last week, those devs were able to put their focus back on Scratchy. So the contracts are finished, the UI is finished. Right now, it's about cosmetic and working out the details of the pre-sale raise and getting promotion scheduled and started, and also third-party audits. So I would say that we're looking to get it wrapped up by probably late March, early April, and then likely do the raise in April and potentially launch the month after. But in the meantime, we'll have 2 or 3 other products that will have been launched by then. So let me keep going here. Okay, so the auto compounding pigpen is something that we want to do potentially in conjunction with the single asset lending. We are in communication right now with a potential partner to use their products for a auto compounding pigpen, and it would allow for more than just auto compounding. It would allow for a AFP AFD ETF and additional utilities such as a dashboard that allows you to determine the ratio of AFP that you want to compound into relative to what you just want to secure as profit as far as the BUSD that's earned. So how much of the BUSD that you're earning the pigpen that you want to buy back into pigged with versus the percentage that you want to secure as profit. These are things that we're speaking to a potential partner to implement their products into our platform to allow for this. This is already built, and they did a pretty good job of doing it. And we had a very good meeting with them last week, and we will likely have a follow-up meeting with them at the start of next week. So I've been working a lot nights. So the past since the end of last week, I've been working kind of on a weird schedule, working all night, going to sleep early in the afternoons. So for the past few days, I've been a little bit out of touch. I haven't had any like dev meetings in the past few days because I've just been working all night on things, and then typically we have our meetings afternoon, and I because I've been working all night, I just been on a different schedule. I've been having BP basically just get me the info that I need to make sure things continue while I was keeping that schedule, and I'll be back on the my normal schedule for next week. So the thing is, the devs have what they need, and they're working full steam ahead right now. So it's just a matter of time, and it won't be long now for the majority of things we're building. Okay, that's it. The last question is just referencing the buybacks for AFP, and so we've done something like I don't know the exact figures off the top of my head, but somewhere between like $4 to $6 million dollars worth of injections or buybacks, which has come from our dry powder. Let's just say 5 million, just to give an average that I know is somewhat accurate. So there's been somewhere around $5.5 to $6 million worth of capital that was associated with the dry powder that we had from the AFD liquidity pool from the migration from V1 to V2. Something like 4.5 to 5 million has already been utilized for injections and buybacks over the past couple months. About a million of it, somewhere between a half million and a million of it, is sitting in wallets ready to go for injections and for buybacks. And then about 350K is on a Bybit account right now, which is I moved it in this way so we can do the buybacks from a wallet that is not associated with the deployer wallet, so people cannot set up automated systems to front run the deployer or the dev wallet. Doing it like this allows us to do the buybacks from random wallets. That way they cannot be exploited and manipulated. And also, just from a general promotional standpoint, it looks better to have random wallets be doing the buybacks rather than a dev wallet or deployer wallet, because sometimes you do a buyback from the deployer wallet, there's some hype around it, and then you have the naysayers like, oh yeah, but that wasn't a real buy, that came from the dev wallet, blah blah, right? We just want to cut those people right off at the legs, right? So it's a mix of all that. But if you look back before any funds are ever moved, it's there's always that transparency there where we're saying, hey, we're moving these funds here, we're moving these funds here for this reason, we're moving these funds here for this reason. People know that for Drip, for example, we did millions of dollars worth of buybacks for Drip. At the time, we were using Tornado Cash and Binance to do the buybacks from random wallets and wallets that could not be exploited and for promotional reasons. We're using Bybit now because Tornado Cash is being sanctioned, and Binance has a minimum withdrawals of like $2,000 for non-KYC. So Bybit's the best option, and that's what we're utilizing it for. And I purposely did a relatively small amount of money, like a tenth, not even a tenth, like 7% of the funds that way. For one, because we want to focus on injections rather than buybacks, and you don't need to do the injections from random wallets because they can't be front run and exploited in that way. And also, the AFD buybacks do not need to be done from random wallets because of the tax. So if someone was to front run a big AFD buy, they still have to deal with the 90% tax, right? So it prevents that kind of sandwich attack exploit, front running exploit. Whereas AFP only has a 3% tax on sale and no tax on buying. So to do the buybacks in a way that cannot be exploited, we have to do it from random wallets. And the only way to do it from random wallets is to break the on-chain data in some way. And the best way to do that is to just send it to a centralized exchange, right? I am very interested in building privacy options that do not require a third party in this way, and cannot be put on a sanctions blacklist in the way that Tornado Cash can, by removing the need for tumbling pools. And I have the tech to be able to do this. I've been in talks with a developer about developing something like this, and that's another big thing I'm committed to. So I'm committed to privacy. I'm committed to lending. I'm committed to gaming, and I'm interested in insurance. I'm committed to the three. I'm interested in insurance. But that was the last question, guys. As far as just an overall update on development, let's let me make a very detailed update on development next week that could potentially even have a date on it, right? So, as I said, we're about 2 weeks away from Dogs Roulette. Next Thursday, we're going to be at that 2-week mark from when I said that. And it's likely we'll either be able to give a date, or we'll be in a position to be a lot more specific on when we will be able to give a date. So, Drip, the Drip UI, the Fiat on-ramp, all of these things, we're all weeks. And when I say weeks, I mean 1-2 weeks away from those being ready to go. And we plan on delivering at least one of them in March, if not before March. And we have a lot more things in the works, such as contests, marketing, better promos, all of that in the meantime. The contests that we have are up right now. You can go to the website. You can go to animalfarm.app, start getting involved with the contest. Over the next couple of days, we're going to be making big social media pushes to promote the contest. And the next contest we have will include the need to buy in. So it will be something like buy one AFD and one AFP and enter in a chance to win a large payout, right? But the payout will be less than less than the amount that is bought back, and will likely be distributed in AFD, which has a 90% vesting. So likely we'll end up having a major appreciation in price, and whoever wins the prize will be vested, and significantly less will be paid out in the prize than what is bought back. So it's going to be very big. It's going to cause a big move in AFD and AFP. And that's it, guys. I'm going to be super active. The fact that our marketing team and I've been able to delegate some of these tasks means that I'm going to have more of my time free to do engagement with the community and interviews and all the things that my time is better served doing. So we're building and we're evolving, and we're just getting started. So thanks, guys. We got good engagement here. People have been staying for the whole thing, so I appreciate all of you, and I will talk to you later.